and welcome back to the channel. Today we're heading to my dad's shop, dropping off these LS heads that we did in the last video, and then we also have wiring harnesses. So what you're looking at here is 4 different wiring harnesses for the Gen 5 LT. So this is transmission and engine harnesses. A lot goes into these. They get reworked for your particular application, motor transmission combination. In order for those to be redone and reworked, all the factory tape, all the factory loom, all the little factory hold downs, connections have to be removed. So me and my wife do about 4 a week. It's pretty lengthy, working a 9 to 5 job. When we get off in the afternoon, we end up having to do about 2 afternoons per harness. So it definitely does take a while. So if you're ever pricing a reworked factory harness and you're thinking that the price seems kind of high, there's definitely a reason why. So anyway, we're gonna get these loaded up. We got about an hour drive ahead of us to my dad's place, and start getting to work. We have a L86 6.2 today, I think, coming down for getting it ready to tear it down and see what it needs. First thing we're working on this morning, we got 3 Holley muscle car oil pans to build. There's the part number right there. They don't come pre-assembled. You have to put in the baffle, the pickup tube, windage tray, a couple bolts, a couple gaskets. It's pretty simple, but I'll put it on the video just in case anybody has any questions about how they go together. Let me see if I can set y'all up where y'all can see what I'm doing. Also, too, sneak peek, we'll be doing a video on this Chevelle wagon pretty soon. It's got a 5.3 bored out to a 5.7 LS in it, and it's on bags. Pretty cool. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we got a block off plate that goes right here where the factory oil cooler used to bolt to. So they bag everything up for you, so you got all your bolts and everything, and gaskets. So what we're looking for is these 2 long Allen head bolts. So this gasket goes on dry, just like that, and then the block just goes on like that. And these are a size 5mm. But I figured I'd build one, and then I'm gonna build the other 2 off camera. It's probably pretty boring watching this anyway. Next thing we have a cap that's gonna go here. It's just a plug. It just goes right there. I always put just a little dab of silicone on the threads just to make sure it seals up good. Don't want any leaks coming back. I don't recall what size this is, but it's a large Allen head. So it kind of takes care of the outside of the pan. The drain plug's already installed. They started tight. They do that. At least they do that much from the factory. The next we got is the little baffle that goes in. It just drops in. And then you have some 10mm bolts that hold that in. always do, just to make sure everything's good and nothing's going anywhere. Just a dab of blue Permatex. You don't want these, obviously you wouldn't want these coming loose in your oil pan and rattling around or causing any issues. Once that's done, you get your pickup tube. I've already hooked this up and blew through it on the air compressor just to make sure there's no trash in it. I did the same thing for the pickup here. So this just goes down in like that, like that. That's pretty much it for that one. So you'll get these two of these longer ones, this gasket. Same 10mm, same size. So, back to the windage tray. Same thing with the Loctite, just a little dab. This is that one longer bolt that you're left with. All the rest of these are the exact same size. It's longer because it's got to go through the pickup tube as well. Next we got the connector, the threads for the oil filter. It's already got Loctite on it. Just screws down. This is a 15/16. Just get it good and snug, don't over tighten it. And then the only thing we have left after that is the little rubber gaskets. One goes here. And these are all, they send them all GM. These are all GM parts. It's pretty nice. Sometimes also they send new bolts because they don't send new oil pan bolts. So you have to round up some oil pan bolts or reuse them. In this instance, all three of these are for those 5.3s that we've been working on, or just started working on, and they have no oil pan bolts. So we're going to have to round up oil pan bolts. And there you go. That's the complete build of a Holley muscle pan. It's a low profile pan, fit in pretty much anything. Nice pans, real good. So anyway, I'm gonna knock out the other two, and we'll be back with something shortly. All right, so we finally got the parts in for the to weld up the collectors on my dad's headers. We were supposed to do it the last video I did when I was showing his truck, but they didn't send the right stuff. So now we got the right stuff, so I'm gonna weld these up real quick for him. And we got 2 to do, so I'll set you up right here. I think that'll do it. All right, so we just picked up that time lapse you saw. We picked up a L86 6.2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just get this thing pretty much torn down, bare as we can. It's not getting a cam, it's not getting a DOD delete. So this particular motor here is gonna get a black CVF front end kit, long tube headers, LT4 blower. So just gonna get it stripped down. That way next week my dad can get this thing to paint, get it painted up, and then I'll come in and start building on it. So the first thing I normally do is just take all the front accessories off. First thing you do is take his idler off, the tensioner. You got a hidden bolt with the water pump behind the tensioner. That's a 15mm bolt I just took out. The rest of the water pump is a 13. You still have a few for the alternator, and the AC compressor has to come out. This one has to come out, it goes straight to the head, so this has to come out. This can stay. This one goes to the head, it's gonna come off. And we usually just keep the bolts in. This whole kit will be reused on another budget build later on. Let's swap over to our 13. There we go. So the AC compressor's out. This whole assembly will come right on. There's your alternator, the bracket for the AC. Next, you just got these 13s. So you got three 13mm bolts. So that takes care of the front end. This we won't be reusing, just take them off. You don't need this belt for anything. Pop these off. These you just press this little button here and pop off. Next, we'll go ahead and get this intake off. It's all 10mm, but I'm going to remove this because this is already damaged. We're not going to put this back on. And go ahead and take the throttle body off, 10mm. And now then. Since we already got the 10mm out, we'll go and take the poles off. Definitely be reusing these coals. These things are 50 bucks a piece. So expensive to buy new ones. We'll go get this fuel line loose. This used to be the little fuel line tool. This is a 3/8 fuel line tool. Get the keeper out of there. Push down, slide the tool up, and that's it. Some trash right there. You got one valve cover bolt that holds this in, 10mm. All we normally do is pull it out, set it aside, put it back in. Next, we'll go ahead and take the fuel rails off, the crossover, and the fuel pump. Rails and crossover, it's a 17mm. GM will tell you can't reuse these. I can't tell you how many times we've reused these and never had an issue at all. Nothing ever leaks or anything. So there's no really harm in reusing them. One 10mm bolt. After you get those loose, crossover comes out. Put the bolt back in. Lose it. Now, for the rails, it's a 13 mil. Normally these just need just a little prime on each end. They don't stick too bad. You don't want to, don't put any force to it. Don't bend them. They don't need much. You want to make sure you got all your rubbers, gaskets. See, we're missing one there. So one's still down in there, so you have to get that back out. It just comes out pretty easy. Just grab a little pick or something to get it out. Some of your model engines had rubbers, some of them did not. So if you don't have any, then you ain't gotta worry about it. Missing another rubber, just like that. Same deal, just get it out. There it is. So if you get your fuel rolls out, the crossover out, this is the direct injection pump, still 13mm. Most everything on these engines is 13, 15, or 10. So there's your direct injection pump, gasket, fuel line. Still 13mm. We don't reuse any of this. Each motor gets new plugs, new wires. Next we got the cam sensor, knock sensors have to come out. Once again, 13mm. Got one knock sensor on each side. I said cam sensor, I'm sorry, crank sensor. Cam sensor's in the front. This is the cam sensor. These are never fun. These never want to come off like they're supposed to. There it is. After that, we got two 10mm, one here, one here. that's your variable valve timing cam harness. All the oil pan bolts, except for the back, very back two. All these are 13s, the very back two are 10. We got one little bracket that holds the transmission line. Would have to come off. Little bracket. You don't use it. Two in the back, two 10mm. That's pretty much it, tearing one of these down. I mean, all I'm gonna do now is just take the pan off and clean up this big mess I've got. After that, we're gonna move on to the minty fresh motor from the first video. Has now been painted antique nickel. We're gonna go ahead and get it ready to get one of those new Holley muscle pans. This one's getting a muscle pan as well. This is a stock pan. They don't fit very well in anything, so this just goes in the trash. Silver, I believe. We're gonna go ahead and put a new pan, one of these new muscle pans we built earlier. We've already got the silicone down. That's the one thing I miss about the old LS's is they still use gaskets. Most of the surfaces now on the LT, they all use silicone. So we'll go ahead and just set the pan down on here. Grab the bolts. These are all 13mm, except for the two rear, they are 10. Just run these down a little bit. Like I said, you do want to make sure you torque them. All right, 18 foot-pounds. These two are going to be 8.8. All right, that's it. Pan is on. I think that's going to be about it for today. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, share. Have a good one. See you on the next one.